The phone buzzed in my pocket like a grenade pin pulling free, and I yanked it out, heart slamming against my ribs before I even saw the screen. I can't do this anymore. Meet me tonight, or I'm telling everyone. The words weren't meant for me, but the number was familiar in the worst way. Jake Harlan, the guy who'd made my high school hell by shoving me into lockers and whispering fag like it was my name. 10 years later, in the fluorescent hum of my Brooklyn apartment, that single message cracked open a vault of buried rage and something sharper, something like pity. I stared at the text for what felt like hours, the city noise filtering through my cracked window, honking taxis, distant laughter from the bar downstairs, like a mocking soundtrack to my paralysis. Jake Harlan, star quarterback turned who knows what, begging for secrecy in a message that had ricocheted to the wrong target. Me, Elias Reed, the quiet art major who'd fled Ohio for New York to outrun ghosts like him. My thumb hovered over reply, a storm brewing in my chest. Delete it, block him, pretend it never happened. That's what survival screamed. But curiosity, that treacherous bastard, whispered back. What if this was my chance to shove the truth down his throat? I typed back before I could stop myself. Wrong number? Or right one? It's Elias. From Lincoln High. The 3 dots danced for an eternity, then vanished. No response. I tossed the phone onto my unmade bed, the sheets tangled from another sleepless night sketching faces I couldn't forget, and paced the narrow room that smelled of takeout ramen and drying paint. My roommate, Mia, was out at her poetry slam, leaving me alone with the weight of what I'd just unleashed. Mia, fierce, tattooed, with a laugh that could disarm a bomb, was the only one who'd stuck by me through the coming-out fallout back home, her own lesbian identity a badge she wore like armor. We'd bonded over shared scars, her from church youth group shunnings, me from Jake's endless torment. If she were here, she'd tell me to ghost him, to protect the fragile peace I'd clawed out in this city. But she wasn't, and the silence from my phone felt like an invitation to chaos. By midnight, the buzz came again. Elias? Shit. Delete that. Please. Desperation leaked through the words, raw and unfiltered, nothing like the cocky jock I'd armored myself against. I could picture him, broad shoulders hunched over a steering wheel somewhere in the suburbs, that perfect jaw clenched, eyes darting like he expected his wife or coach or whoever to burst in. Rumors had trickled back through mutual acquaintances. Jake married young, kids on the way, some corporate job in sales that sounded as soul-sucking as it was stable. The golden boy, untouchable. Until now. I sank onto the fire escape, the metal cool under my palms, and lit a cigarette I didn't really want, the flame flickering against the neon glow of the bodega sign below. New York's pulse thrummed around me, couples spilling out of bars, hand in hand, unapologetic in ways I'd only dreamed of as a teen. Back in Ohio, love like that was a whisper, a risk. Jake had made sure I knew it, his punches landing not just on my body, but on every fragile hope I'd harbored for someone to see me, really see me. And now this, a plea that mirrored my own silent screams from a decade ago. Why should I? I texted back, exhaling smoke into the night. You made my life hell. Remember the pep rally? Or the locker room after gym? The reply was instant, a flood. I was a kid, scared shitless. Please, Elias. It's not what you think. Meet me. Coffee shop on 5th and Park. 8 a.m. I'll explain. Scared shitless. The words hit like a slap, flipping the script I'd scripted in my head for years. Jake Harlan, afraid? Of what? His own reflection. I deleted the thread, or tried to, but my fingers betrayed me, saving a screenshot instead. Sleep evaded me that night, replaced by visions of confrontation, of his face crumpling under the weight of truths we'd both dodged. Morning broke gray and insistent, rain pattering against the window like impatient fingers. I dragged myself to the mirror, splashing water on a face that looked too much like the scared kid he'd targeted. Dark circles under hazel eyes, hair a mess of waves that refused order. What was I doing? This wasn't closure. It was reopening a wound for the thrill of salt. But the pull was magnetic, a chance to rewrite the ending where I walked away unbroken. Mia texted as I shrugged on my jacket. Slam was fire. You up for brunch? Spill whatever's got you ghosting. I pocketed the phone, guilt twisting with resolve. Lies by omission were my specialty, but this one felt heavier. The coffee shop was a cozy hole-in-the-wall, all exposed brick and mismatched mugs, the kind of place where artists nursed lattes and eyed each other like potential muses. I spotted him before he saw me. Jake, slouched in a corner booth, nursing a black coffee, his frame filled out but softened by time, blonde hair cropped short, a wedding band glinting under the pendant lights. He looked up as I approached, eyes widening in that deer-in-headlights way, and for a split second, I saw the boy who'd ruled the halls, then the man unraveling. "Elias," he said, voice low, standing halfway like he wasn't sure if hug or handshake. I slid into the seat opposite, arms crossed, the scent of fresh grounds doing little to ease the knot in my gut. "Talk," I said, no preamble. The barista called an order, laughter bubbling from the counter, a stark contrast to the tension coiling between us. He ran a hand over his face, stubble rasping. "Last night, that text was to my brother. He's the only one who knows. About me." The word hung, heavy with implication. About me. Gay. Bi. Whatever label fit the secret he'd buried under layers of bravado and bigotry. My pulse thundered, a mix of vindication and vertigo. All those years of his hate, projection, self-loathing turned outward like a weapon. "Your brother," I echoed, leaning back. "The one who followed you to college? Golden family duo." Jake nodded, gaze dropping to his mug. "Yeah, he's helping me figure it out. Therapy, support groups. But if it gets out..." He trailed off, the unsaid crashing down. Divorce, job loss, small-town whispers amplified in the age of social media. Ohio roots ran deep, even if he transplanted to Jersey for work. I wanted to laugh, bitter and sharp. "And you think I'd care? After what you did?" The words spilled, unbidden. The taunts, the isolation, the night I'd come out to my parents only to have Jake's crew egg their house in retaliation. My voice cracked on the last, and his face crumpled, genuine remorse etching lines I hadn't expected. "I know. God, Elias, I know. I was drowning back then. Dad's expectations, the team. I hated myself so much I made you pay for it." His eyes met mine, blue and stormy, pleading. "This isn't pity ask. It's, I need to make it right. Somehow." The rain picked up outside, drumming a rhythm that matched my racing thoughts. Make it right. Forgiveness wasn't a transaction, but understanding. That was a crack in my armor. Mia's voice echoed in my head. "Some people change, Eli. Others just get better at hiding." Was this hiding or breaking free? I sipped the coffee the waitress dropped off. On the house, she winked, and felt the warmth spread, tentative. "One coffee," I said finally. "That's all you get today? But if we're doing this, no bullshit. And you owe me the full story." He exhaled, shoulders dropping. "Deal." As he started talking, halting at first, then pouring out fragments of a life parallel to mine, laced with shame and stolen glances at locker room teammates. I realized this wrong number wasn't a mistake. It was a tether, pulling us towards something neither of us had scripted. Friendship? Absolution? Or the spark of something dangerous, unspoken, that flickered in the space between our words? The bell above the door jingled, letting in a gust of damp air, and for the first time in years, I didn't flinch at the chill. We talked for 2 hours, the coffee going cold as Jake unspooled his confessions like thread from a fraying sweater. High school had been his personal hellscape, he said, the pressure to be the All-American son crushing him from the inside. Football scholarship, homecoming king, trophies that masked the nights he'd cry in his truck after practice, terrified of the thoughts that pulled him toward guys like me, the quiet artist who sketched in the back of class with a grace that made Jake's chest ache even as he lashed out. "You were everything I couldn't be," he admitted, voice barely above the espresso machine's hiss. "Brave. Real. I destroyed that because it scared me shitless." I listened, jaw tight, sifting truth from trauma. Parts rang hollow, the easy villainy of youth, but others landed like punches, forcing me to see him not as monster, but man. Flawed, fractured. By the time we stepped out into the drizzle, umbrellas blooming like black flowers around us, the air between us had shifted, charged with possibility and peril. "Text me your real number," I said, surprising myself. "No more ghosts." He grinned, faint but real, pulling out his phone. "Already saved yours." "Wrong number, my ass." The quip was light, but his eyes held mine a beat too long, stirring something low in my belly. Resentment? Attraction? I shoved it down, blaming the caffeine. Back in Brooklyn, Mia was waiting, cross-legged on the couch with a stack of zines and a glare that could curdle milk. Spill, read. You've got that I just flirted with disaster glow. I collapsed beside her, the story tumbling out in fits and starts. The text, the meetup, Jake's unraveling. Her eyebrows climbed with each revelation, dark curls bouncing as she leaned in. Wait, your bully's a closet case? And you're, what, his confessor now? She punched my arm, half laughing, half horrified. Eli, this is rom-com bait or horror flick. Pick one. Drama, I muttered, rubbing the spot. Pure drama. But he seemed. Sorry. For real. Mia softened, her hand on my knee, the tattoo of a broken chain inked there, a reminder of her own battles. She'd lost her job last year over a leaked photo from Pride, the bakery owner citing family values. We'd scraped by on my freelance illustrations and her bar gigs, our friendship the glue holding it together. Just guard your heart, okay? Bullies don't vanish. They evolve. And if he's using you for some redemption arc, kick his ass to the curb. Her words lingered as I sketched that night, charcoal smudging my fingers with Jake's face, not the snarling teen, but the man in the booth, vulnerable under the weight of his secrets. The lines flowed too easily, capturing the curve of his lip, the intensity in his gaze, and I hated how it felt like tracing a map to forbidden territory. Desire had no place here. It was a complication I couldn't afford. Not when my own life was a patchwork of gigs and doubts, crushes that fizzled before they ignited. The next text came at dawn, a photo of a sunrise over the Hudson, captioned, "Early run. Thinking about what you said, full story soon." I smiled despite myself, the warmth cutting through the chill of my room. We fell into a rhythm then, cautious exchanges that built like a bridge over a chasm. Jake shared snippets. The wife who'd sensed his distance and filed papers quietly. The brother who'd become his lifeline after a drunken breakdown at a family barbecue. I countered with my world. Mia's latest poem about queer saints. The gallery show I'd bombed last month. The quiet joy of sketching strangers in Central Park. One evening, after a particularly brutal critique at my art class where the instructor dismissed my portraits as too emotional, I texted him without thinking. Ever feel like your own skin's a bad fit? His reply was a voice note, his voice rough from a cold. Every damn day. But talking to you makes it looser. The audio played on loop as I walked home, rain slicking the streets, his timbre wrapping around me like smoke. Looser. Dangerous word. Mia noticed, of course. Over cheap Thai takeout, she fixed me with that big sister stare. You're glowing, Elias. Is it the freelance check or Mr. Repentant Jock? I shrugged, poking at my pad thai. Both? Neither? It's just nice, having someone who gets the hiding. She nodded, but worry creased her brow. Just promise me you'll introduce us soon. I need to vet this guy before he breaks you again. The promise stuck as I met Jake for real coffee the following week, this time at a park bench overlooking the East River, joggers and dog walkers blurring into the periphery. He arrived with 2 thermoses, handing me one with a sheepish grin. Figured we'd outgrown mugs. We sat, legs brushing accidentally, or not, and he dove deeper, voice steady now. The first crush, a teammate's sophomore year, a fumbling kiss in the equipment shed that ended in tears and vows of silence. The marriage, a panic move after college, thinking normalcy would cure him. The awakening, a work conference in San Francisco, where he watched 2 men hold hands on the street and felt the damn crack. Your turn, he said, turning those eyes on me. What broke you open? I hesitated, the river's lap a soothing underscore. You actually. After that rally, when you outed me to the whole school, screaming it during halftime, I hit bottom. Told my folks that night. They hugged me, Jake. Hugged me and said they loved me anyway. The memory stung sweet, a rarity in coming out tales. But you? You made me build walls a mile high. He winced, reaching out, then pulling back. I wish I could undo it. All of it. The almost touch lingered, electric. You can't, I said softly. But this helps. As the sun dipped, painting the water gold, he walked me to the subway, our shoulders bumping in companionable silence. At the platform, he lingered. Dinner sometime? Not as amends. As Friends. Friends. The words settled warm, but my pulse betrayed me, quickening at the hope in his voice. Yeah, I said. Friends. That night, alone with my sketch pad, I drew us. Not as enemies, but allies in the half-light, hands almost linked. The lines trembled, hinting at what lay beneath. A pull toward him that scared me more than any bully ever had. Forgiveness was one thing, falling was another. And as Mia's snores filtered from her room, I wondered if I was already tumbling. Weeks blurred into a fragile routine, Jake weaving into my days like a thread I hadn't known was missing. Dinners turned from awkward to easy, hole-in-the-wall pizza joints where he'd laugh at my impressions of pretentious gallerists, or quiet walks in Prospect Park where I'd vent about rejections and he'd share sales pitch nightmares. He was good at listening, really listening, his nods thoughtful, questions probing without prying. It felt like therapy or confession, the kind that mends rather than wounds. Mia met him over burgers at our local dive, her initial skepticism melting under his disarming charm. So, Harlan, she said, eyeing him across the sticky table, what's your damage? Besides the obvious. He didn't flinch, just took a swig of beer. Plenty, but I'm working on it. Elias, here's my unwilling guru. She glanced at me, a smirk playing. Unwilling, my ass. You're both smitten kittens. We protested, but the air thickened with unspoken agreement. Smitten. The word danced dangerous, especially when Jake's knee pressed mine under the table, lingering a beat too long. My art shifted too, bolder strokes in my portraits, capturing the raw edges of emotion I'd once shied from. A gallery scout noticed at a pop-up show, emailing about a group exhibit, my first real break. I told Jake over late-night texts, his reply a string of emojis ending in a heart that made my chest hitch. Proud of you, he typed. Seeing you shine? It's everything. Everything. The word echoed as doubts crept in. His divorce finalized quietly, papers signed with minimal drama, but whispers reached him through old teammates, speculation, judgment. They're saying I knocked her up on purpose to hide. He confessed one night on my fire escape, city lights twinkling below like distant approvals. Like I planned this mess. I handed him a beer, our fingers brushing. Screw them. You're out now. Free. Free, he echoed, but his eyes were shadowed. What if free means alone? What if I blew my shot at? Normal. Normal. The trap we both fled. Normal's overrated, I said, voice firm. Real's what matters. Like this. I gestured between us, the space humming. He turned, face inches away, breath mingling. This, he murmured, and leaned in. Or did I? The kiss was tentative, a question in soft pressure, then deepening as walls crumbled. His hand cupped my jaw, thumb tracing my cheekbone, and I melted into it, years of anger transmuting to hunger. It was messy, perfect, tasting of beer and redemption. We pulled back gasping, foreheads pressed. Elias, he whispered, fear and want tangled. Is this okay? More than. I breathed, but doubt flickered. Mia's warning, my own scars. Could we build on ruins? The high crashed days later. A text from an unknown number. Jake's ex, forwarding a screenshot of our fire escape moment, snapped by a passerby and posted in a high school alumni group. Slut, the caption read. Knew he was fake. Jake called in a panic, voice breaking. They're coming for me. Job's on the line. Elias, Stop. I cut in, heart pounding. We'll face it. Together. But together cracked under pressure. His boss called a meeting, concerns about image. Old friends ghosted, family dinners turned interrogations. Jake withdrew, texts sparse, excuses piling. Need space, he finally said over coffee, eyes averted. This is too much. For you too. The rejection stung worse than any punch, reopening wounds I'd thought scarred over. Space. I echoed, voice steel. Or running. Like always. He flinched. I'm protecting you. Bullshit. I stood, chair scraping. You're protecting you. From us. He didn't follow as I stormed out, rain lashing my face like tears I wouldn't shed. Back home, Mia held me as sobs came, fierce and unbidden. He'll come around, she murmured. Or he won't. But you? You're whole. Whole. The word anchored me through the exhibit opening, where my pieces sold. Too. Even, strangers praising the raw vulnerability. Jake didn't show, but his text arrived mid-toast. Congrats. You deserve it. Deserve. I deleted it, channeling fury into a new sketch. Him, alone in shadow, reaching for light he wouldn't grasp. Months passed in a haze of work and wounds. Mia landed a book deal for her poetry, our apartment buzzing with possibility. I dated casually, a barista with kind eyes, a musician whose laugh echoed Jake's, but nothing stuck, echoes of what we'd almost had. Then, a knock at 2 a.m., insistent. I opened the door to Jake, disheveled, eyes red-rimmed. I quit, he said, no preamble. The job, the hiding, lost friends, yeah? But gained clarity. He stepped closer, rain-damp jacket shedding droplets. You were right. Running's my default. But you? You're my north. My throat tightened. Jake. Let me finish. His hand found mine, tentative. I love you, Elias. Terrifyingly. If you'll have me, flaws, baggage, all. The words hung, a lifeline. I searched his face, seeing the boy who'd hurt me, the man who'd healed us both. Flaws included, I whispered, pulling him in. The kiss was fierce, claiming, the door slamming shut on old ghosts. We rebuilt slowly, therapy joint now, his brother joining us for awkward brunches that bloomed into alliance. Prejudices lingered, stares and Ohio visits, Mia's protective jabs, but we faced them, hand in hand. Love wasn't erasure. It was excavation, unearthing strength from shared soil. 1 year on, at that same coffee shop, Jake proposed with a ring etched with our first text. Wrong number? I said yes, tears blurring his grin. The wrong number hadn't destroyed him. It saved us, turning bully to beloved, hate to home. In the end, it wasn't drama that defined us, but the quiet courage of choosing each other, day by scarred day.